Hi, this is Robbie with Tickner Photography again. I had an idea today at work. I have this old book right here. I want to fold pages in on themselves, a lot of them, almost so it looks like a flower, and then I'm going to balance it on another book, and I'll call it like a book of knowledge, or a flower of knowledge. I have my balancing book over there. I'm going to start folding this in on itself. I'll try and find a balance point where this book is at equilibrium, and I'll use that as my center. And we'll see if I can make this work. I'm probably going to use one or two flashes, mostly silhouette, but I might move the key light around. So let's see what we can do, and then we'll take it into Lightroom or Photoshop, try and come up with a cool image. So we're getting close. I think I have 4 or 5 folds on each side, and then I have to balance the book over here on my stand. I'm going to have a black background. This may be a black and white, maybe a selective color image. Not sure how I want to process this in post yet, but I think that's looking pretty good. Alright, so now I want to pick this up. I do not want to drop this because I'll squash creases into it. And it'll be something like that. That should be kind of cool. So now we're gonna turn on the camera, turn on the flashes, and see what we can get. We want to do this at our maximum sync speed to try and remove all of this ambient light. We want a black background. Let's take a couple test shots, see where we're at. Getting way too much spill on the background. So I'm using this foam core as a bounce card, and it's adding a ton of light back in here, which is exactly what we want. Well, it looked like my video camera ran out of batteries, so now we're into Lightroom, and you can see all the shots that I took during this little shoot. It wasn't that many. I got what I wanted, so I didn't have a need to continue shooting. So we'll start out. First, it had way too much light. Background was totally illuminated, so I started darkening things up and adjusting the way the light worked. And this was my final keeper. I kept shooting past that a little bit, adjusting the angles. So the one that I decided to finally work with, let's go and see what my initial adjustments were. Fairly heavy, and the reason why I wanted this to become kind of a surreal image. It's gonna look like a flower, merge between a flower and a mushroom with highly saturated colors. It's like a dream, and that was exactly what I envisioned, so that's kind of how I started editing. Not too heavy yet, but we'll go into Photoshop and take this to the extreme. So this is before, this is after. Starting to increase saturation, colors, and whatnot. You can see the page of the book. It looks like a pretty cool image. This is our final image, or something close to that. It is I call it the flower of knowledge. Kind of looks like a flower or a mushroom. Gave the book a little bit of a kink. It's highly saturated, and it's totally surreal. So let's go see if we can recreate this. So back to our starting point, and now off into Photoshop. Alright, so now we're into Photoshop. Let's get started. First, we're probably going to need to isolate this guy somewhat. So we'll just do a quick selection of this. We'll deselect our interiors there, and we'll refine edges. Alright, that's fine. We don't need to be too crazy with this. Just wanted to get rid of any of the background that was unnecessary. So now we'll create our new black background layer. There we go. All right. Oops. We accidentally chopped something off of here. Just need to paint that back on there. Okay. Make sure that's fully here. Alright, I don't think I clipped anything else. Nope, just the background. Perfect. Alright, we're going to extend our canvas. Oops. Quite a bit. So we'll make this a square image for right now. Refill our background. Alright. So now that we have this, going to replicate. I tend to work non-destructively in stages, then I can remove old layers once I'm done with them, but it seems a little bit safer. Alright, so we want to create our stem. So we're going to do a content-aware scale. This right to the bottom. There we go. So now we have a stem to our mushroom thing. Let's start messing with our saturations. I don't think I want to colorize. There we go. Like that. So basically just super heavily saturated this guy. Oops. It brought out all of the natural colors of this old book and the pages and the light, different temperatures and stuff, and just really brought it to life. So I'm liking that. Now we're going to need to prune our tree here. So with our initial pruning, we're just going to use a layer mask and paint off some of the edges of this. Opacity for this. We're trying to come up with an organic shape, so nothing has to be perfect. Okay, I like that. You know, I don't like this white page or something that's picking up light inside. I am going to get rid of it. Okay, I like that better. And we're actually pretty close to a final image. To give it a little bit more of an organic feel, I'm going to give the stem a little bit of a kink. And to do that, we're going to merge all of our layers into a single image. And then we're going to use a puppet warp transform. So we'll stick a couple pinpoints. That should give it a little bit of a kink. It's a bit too much of a kink, but you kind of get the idea. We can do another puppet warp and we'll push the whole top of this thing down. So I just want to give the whole thing a little bit of a bend. And I kind of like that. And then I bent the stem too much. My original's not quite that kinked, but this is pretty close. If I were to spend more time, I would create a clone of this side and try to warp it a little bit so it more closely resembled that. It's kind of spreading out a little bit too much. But other than that, this is how I created my Surreal book flower mushroom image. So I hope this inspires you to go take an ordinary object and try and look at it in a whole different way. Create a surreal, out of this world image from something that you look at every day. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Otherwise, like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.